And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and normally you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald, but I'm taking a month off of that. So, you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald, but I probably won't respond to you until about June. So that's where I'm at. My co-host Jimmy Lemke, and again, I really have to apologize for this because I'm a freaking idiot. You can find him on Twitter at PantherU. This is getting to be stupid. So you guys can all laugh at me as much as you want, or you can lament my lack of, my laptop being temperamental. We had an entire podcast recorded, or at least we thought recorded, earlier in the day, and of course it magically disappeared. Shocking no one. Or shocking me, actually. I actually looked around and I'm like, oh, come on, this can't be happening again. But you can also find the podcast on Twitter as well at Horizon RT. So, one of the things that has, we're getting really close to the end of the spring signing period. Some decisions are still being made about where people are looking to go. Some schools have already kind of wrapped everything up. We actually, I guess I should be sort of glad that we got my technological stupidity kind of reigned supreme this afternoon, because right afterwards we got some announcements of some signings and some departures. I might add some folks who at least one person that we know that's going to be heading somewhere new. Probably the one that but by and large we're getting to the end, and like I said, it's you already see people making offers for 2020, and I'll talk about 2020 and probably 2019 and kind of all the kind of the some of the wide nets that some of the coaches in the Horizon League kind of cast and how well that's worked out. But first I want to start off with Oakland. Oakland does have one scholarship left. They just added another. They actually just added another guard. The one thing that is, so they do have, at this point in time, they have one scholarship left. Question is, where's that scholarship going to go? Or is it going to go anywhere for that matter? I mean, how many times have we seen mid-major schools only run with 12 scholarship players? I mean, possible. I don't know. But big thing is that Oakland's got one left, but Oakland might want. There's still some decision making out there that potentially could change everything. Kevin Kangu, the junior college shooting guard out of where's he from? He is from he's from Vincennes University out in Indiana. I think I should know these things. But yeah, he is going to be. He is committed to. He actually is. He is for sure committed to Oakland. I know Oakland fans. This is a big deal for you guys because you had at least one of your commits, David Oladapo, say he was going to come, then say he wasn't going to come, and then say he changed his mind. He really is going to come, and now he's really not coming. So make up your mind, dude. I mean, good luck to you wherever it is, but let us know, because we were out thinking, okay, once Kangu kind of got into the fold, they're pretty much Oakland's pretty much done for the signing period. But no, we've got some indecisiveness going on. But also impressive. But also this potentially could open the door for Javen Cumberland, who may or may not come back. Possibly. I mean, it's still kind of outside of the realm of possibility that he's going to kind of leave. I don't know. It's a very, very. It's. I mean, it's looking less and less likely. He's already visited Oregon. And now looks like Michigan's getting into the mix. So the probability of Javen Cumberland coming back to Oakland is becoming less and less of a possibility. So, and I think in the grand scheme of things, we're at the point where it's like, okay, he's gone. That's the end of it. What are you going to do? So that's going to be, so the challenge, of course, for Greg Kampe is going to be, kind of replacing what Javen Cumberland brought to the table. One of the things that we can kind of count on is more touches for Kamari Newman. That's definitely going to be a possibility. And with Kevin Kangu coming in, you're definitely going to get that defensive element. So theoretically, even with Javen Cumberland, probably for sure, but not quite possibly, but definitely for sure not coming back, it's definitely, you still have kind of that core for Oakland coming back, in spite of the fact that, realistically, if they sign one more person, they've got 7 people. They've got 7 new people coming in. That's to me, that's mind blowing. To have that many new players and still kind of have that core together. I like the mix. I like I see what's happening. I see what, it kind of lends to some long-term stability, even when you have the instances of transfers, which Oakland has had. Make no mistake, they are not immune. They're obviously not immune from the transfer bug that anybody else is. So it really stands to reason that, kind of making your own adjustments based on what you think is going to kind of make the team better. I guess that's the direction that Greg Kampe is going into. I'm sure I could speculate all I want, but we are planning to still have Greg Kampe on the show here in the near future, so we could probably ask him these questions ourselves, and I fully look forward to doing that. So with that said, Kamari Newman's no slouch either. He can, when he gets his shots, he definitely produces. So without Javen Cumberland, now you see a possibility for Kamari Newman to step up and get even more, contribute even more, moving forward. So that's going to be a very interesting kind of dynamic. The one thing that's going to be kind of, the one kind of, so I guess kind of the one thing that we probably do want to take a look at for Oakland is the point guard spot, because Braden Norris is absolutely positively not coming back. While there was a sliver of hope that Javen Cumberland would be coming back to Oakland, still probably not going to happen. Braden Norris is absolutely not happening, and again, this is kind of why today, Sunday afternoon, Braden Norris announced that he was going to be transferring to Loyola. So he's going to be heading into that general direction. So I know that's been kind of I guess I want to say it's been kind of a head scratcher, but he can't really argue with Loyola, though. Look at the trajectory that they've had ever since they left the Horizon League. And make no mistake, when Loyola was in the Horizon League, and we've talked about this many times during the show, Loyola was always kind of bringing up the rear in the Horizon League standings. And then fast forward to 2018, they're all of a sudden they're not only a competitor, and they're all not only a top competitor in the Missouri Valley Conference. 2018, they're a Final Four team. So it's amazing. It's interesting kind of how that whole thing kind of shakes out. And then, so, if you're Braden Norris, you kind of look at that situation in Loyola and see a team that's certainly on the up and up. There's certainly one of those teams you look at the Valley now, which is hilarious because they were never that team. They were never that team in the Horizon League ever. So it's ironic that that he's going to Missouri Valley Loyola as opposed to Horizon League Loyola. So we obviously wish him the best of luck. So but that is wow, yeah, that Porter Mosier apparently he drives a hard bargain. So I mean, it's I guess you can't argue with a guy who's been to a Final Four in the last couple of years. So so I mean, it is what it is, and so I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where. And like I said, when we talk to undoubtedly when we talk to Greg Campy, that's going to be something we're going to ask him about, is that point guard position that is now all of a sudden a little light, if you will. So that's going to be the big thing for them. The one other thing that is still going on, and this part is important, is the ongoing recruitment of Marcus Domask, who was originally slated to go to Northern Kentucky prior to John Brannon's departure. John Brannon obviously has gone to Cincinnati and has been replaced with Darren Horn, which we talked a lot about last week. That's going to be, it's still up in the air. But it's still for Domask, it's interesting because it's still up in the air. But Northern Kentucky's still in the mix. He actually has he's actually announced his final 5 schools. Northern Kentucky is still involved, so they are still in the mix here. That's the good news for Northern Kentucky. The bad news, of course, is the other 4 teams that are there. One is Southern Illinois. That one is going to be, he just visited there, so obviously that's going to be a very interesting kind of situation. The other one is Loyola. It's amazing how we've gotten to a point where, and this is why we kind of miss Loyola being in the league, or I should say, we miss what Loyola has become if they had been in the league. And I guess that comes a question, do they progress in the Horizon League as much as they did in the Missouri Valley? And I'm not really 100% sure on that one, to tell you the truth. The one big thing is that Domask is visiting Cincinnati. John Brannon is going to have him on. He's definitely going to have him on campus. So, I mean, there is a distinct possibility that Cincinnati could have could snag Domask. So, and of course, the last one is going to be Wright State. I mean, so I guess the good news is you still have a couple of Horizon League schools sitting in the mix. I mean, you got to give credit to Darren Horn. He's still on the case here. So it's still Norse fans keep faith. He may still land at BB&T Arena. So, but at the same time, Wright State, I'm sure they would not be sad to have him either. They got a couple of scholarship spots now, so I'm sure they're going to be really, if they can nab him, that's going to be a big get for anybody, to tell you the truth. What's interesting though is now I will say this, Marcus Domask is a Wisconsin guy, so you would think it would stand to reason that you'd see Loyola, you'd see the Wisconsin schools in the Horizon League kind of stepping up, and you kind of did see that. He did get interest, and he was garnering interest from Green Bay, but they kind of backed up. Now, truth be told, I know Green Bay at this point in time doesn't have, as far as I know, doesn't have any scholarships left. So that would have been kind of an interesting situation for them as far as kind of how that was going to all shake out for him. But I guess we'll never know because he's not in the top 5. The one other the other school that wasn't in the mix is Milwaukee. And you would think with the way things went with Milwaukee last season, you would think that maybe, just maybe, and I'm sure Jimmy would agree with me, might want to take a stab at this guy. I mean, he's a local kid, and he's so what did you do? I don't know. It's kind of one of those strange situations. I don't know what to tell you on that one. It's definitely a it's probably going to come down to the wire for Domask. I think, and truth be told, I mean, he doesn't need to tell any of us until like forever, but he's kind of a big enough, honestly, he's kind of he's Wisconsin's Mr. Basketball. So it stands to reason that this is whatever decision he makes, it's going to be an event. I mean, we're going to hear about it sooner rather than later. So that's going to be a very interesting situation to see if he ends up going into if he ends up sticking with the Horizon League, choosing either Northern Kentucky or Wright State or seek life elsewhere. So that's going to be. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Definitely. So one of the Wright State, of course, is also. Wright State did. Speaking of Wright State, they just picked themselves up a grad transfer in Jordan Nash. Jordan Nash, who is he's the grad transfer coming out of Northwestern. One of the things that is kind of that's going to be kind of an X factor. Jordan Nash is for the Raiders, for the simple fact that you ask yourself because he's a shooting guard. He's a 6'3" shooting guard, and one of the things, he was pretty, he was a 3-star recruit out of high school. One of the issues he has had though is his health. He missed a full year because of his knee. He was only limited to 10 games, I believe, because of a leg injury. So, you see some upside with Jordan Nash. You wish you would have, if you're Wright State, you wish you would have seen a lot more of him. It would have been nice. I mean, but the big thing too, and this is kind of important. I think this is something that you are, however, talking about a guy who was Northwestern team captain. I mean, without a doubt. So, he does have that leadership quality. Let's face it, that's a quality you can't put points on. So, that's going to be that's going to be really kind of realistically, whether, as far as what he brings to the table with Wright State, it's going to be very interesting. But you see it potentially be a welcome dynamic. And remember too that the Wright State just lost a guard because Malachi Smith is transferring. So maybe addition by subtraction there for him. Plus you also, and realistically, you have yourself, you can always use more options if you're Wright State, you can always use more options. Yeah, sure, you have Loudon Love. Sure, you have Cole Gentry. Sure, you have Billy Wampler. Sure, you have Skylar Potter. But hey, the more the better. And it'll be very, just to have that, leadership ability with Jordan Nash, given the fact that you got a guy, you got a couple of guys waiting in the wings. You've got an Andre Harris who, I'm pretty familiar with here in Cleveland, playing at Brush High School. Definitely tremendous upside for him. To have that potential mentor there may be much more of a factor moving forward for Loyola. Geez Louise. See, this is why I wish they were here, for Wright State, moving forward. And it's more, and you see still a lot of the long-term, as far as you got to see what, with Scott Nagy, what he has put together at this moment in time. I mean, he's looking for sustainable success, and he is good. That Wright State team is definitely going to be one of the contenders for that title next year. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, they won the title this year. They won the regular season title this year. They won the tournament. They won the tournament in 2018. I mean, next season is going to be a big. It's going to be. If we're seeing what we're seeing right now, if we're seeing what we've seen from Wright State to this point, you're looking at a situation where Wright State could certainly be at the top of is definitely well positioned to be in the top of the standings, as well as getting to that point where we can finally get to that point where they can be potentially competitive enough if they do make it to the tournament and make it, we can finally get out of this whole schneid of being, about being the kind of the also-rans in the tournament, the one and dones, which the Horizon League which is a recent development for the Horizon League. And hopefully, you'd like to think that we're getting to a point where whoever is on top of the Horizon League is finally going to get over that hump and finally get to the point where they can win a tournament game. And that is the bottom line here. And I think in this case, with Wright State, is definitely a possibility. But you see, Wright State would be the ideal candidate at this point. But you never know. I mean, again, I never count out Oakland, even with who's ever transferred. I'm not sure if I want to count. I'm really not sure if I want to count out Northern Kentucky, because I want to see what Darren Horn can do with John Brandon's holdovers. So it's going to be an interesting, at the top of the standings, it's going to be a very interesting situation. And then you go to the bottom of the standings and you're looking at Detroit and wondering, okay, what are you doing? And I say that because of the fact that according to verbal commits, as of right now, as of this week, Detroit has 6 scholarships open. 6 of them. It's May 5th. I'm not really 100% sure what's going on in that camp. And honestly, if I'm the good folks, if I'm a Detroit Mercy fan, I'm kind of a little hesitant and a little skittish on what exactly the game plan is. I mean, other than, I understand it's like, this is the Antoine Smith show. I mean, geez Louise. And this is what we do here. We just basically confuse our names half the time. This is how we get Skylar Quisenberry joke, which of course we had to make today. But no, Antoine Davis, we get this as the Antoine Davis show. Antoine Davis, without a doubt, is well positioned to be he is production next year. It's unless something crazy happens, he's going to be the guy who's going to be he's definitely the odds-on favorite for Player of the Year next year. But who is around him? I mean, really? I mean, that's a good question. You got some dudes, but you still have 6 spots left. That's nearly half the team. I don't know if a Detroit Mercy fan could explain to me what on earth their plan is. I'm all ears, because I don't have a clue. And again, it's and that's putting I gotta say, that's putting like a lot. That's putting a lot on one guy. I mean, yeah, it's Antoine Davis, but still, That is still a lot. I don't know. It's going to be, it's one of those situations where you think to yourself, okay, I'm not really sure what's going on. Also, it's not very helpful. And again, it's one of those things. You're looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, how are you building? I mean, it's all kind of a big hush-hush secret. I mean, are you getting a bunch of grad transfers in? Or are you getting a bunch of JUCO guys in? Distinct possibility, we don't know. We're probably not going to know for another couple weeks. And we may not even know until classes start in August. I mean, because recruits can sign up for classes and do whatever until that point in time. So I mean, yeah, maybe, but I don't know. It's a bit of a head scratcher to me. I mean, and if you're Detroit, who's trying to expound upon kind of the surprise year from this past season, I mean, maybe they're just maybe they're keeping everything under wraps, and they're going to surprise us with a bunch of they're going to surprise us with some new people, and we're going to be all blown away. Would not be out of the realm of possibility. We're talking about Mike Davis here, and hopefully we're talking about Mike Davis for all. Remember, up until he got hired, we didn't know what he had with Antoine Davis. He turned out to be one of the best freshmen to come out, one of the best freshmen to have ever to have one of the best freshman performances in Horizon League history. Well, that's saying a lot, given the freshmen that have given the people of the caliber of player that has come through the Horizon League over the past 40 years. You wonder, maybe. So that was going to be, so that's kind of the 2019 situation at this moment in time. Like I said, just about everybody else is kind of wrapping things up. With the noted exception of Detroit and potentially, and obviously Northern Kentucky, because they kind of just started. So that's going to be an interesting thing, and I think that's going to be, what this holds for the future, specifically as it relates to who is coming back to the Horizon League next year. You never know. So one of the other things that has come up besides the signings, besides obviously the hiring of Darren Horn, is the ongoing the ongoing trial of Christian Dawkins. And you may be asking yourself, well, gee, Bob, what exactly does that have to do with the Horizon League? Well, as it turns out, for those of you who are not aware, Christian Dawkins, of course, is currently on trial for kind of being, he's accused of kind of being the middleman to pay off, all these top tier NCAA players. I mean, everybody, specific, the one that Arizona seems to be coming up a lot, specifically DeAndre Ayton, who's now playing in the NBA. But the reason that it somehow, for some stupid reason, involves the Horizon League is, guess what? Again, Christian Dawkins. Christian Dawkins is related to the Horizon League by blood, and I mean that by saying his dad is Lou Dawkins. Lou Dawkins, of course, is is Dennis Felton's assistant coach at Cleveland State. So, within the last couple weeks, obviously for the last couple weeks, it's been coming up. Everybody who's been a couple of people who have testified at the trial mentioned this contact list that Christian Dawkins has. And Cleveland State kind of popped up. Well, of course Cleveland State's going to pop up. His dad works there, because there would be no other earthly reason for Cleveland State to pop up. I mean, let's face it. If Cleveland State was paying players, okay, not a great return on investment there. You've lost 20 games 4 years in a row. But let's be honest. And don't worry, everyone, because Christian Dawkins had absolutely no problem whatsoever pretty much saying, yeah, they're definitely not paying. Yeah, they're definitely not paying anybody. And I refer to kind of his testimony from the Dan Wetzel column in Yahoo Sports, where he says in a quote, now this is from the article. Another time he was asked to explain what the government claimed was a list of coaches he was capable of bribing. His defense attorney, Steve Haney, that's Dawkins' attorney, noted that the list was really just coaches that Dawkins knew. Not that he could bribe, and a prosecutor witness was lying when he characterized it otherwise, hence why you heard about it early in the week. Here we go. After all, thank you, Dan Wetzel, for this. It included Christian Dawkins' own father, Lou Dawkins, an assistant at Cleveland State, which isn't exactly a powerhouse that produces lots of NBA talent and agent would want to bribe. Quote, "My dad is here in court, so I don't want to throw him under the bus," Dawkins said with a laugh, "but they aren't the greatest team in the country." The entire courtroom laughed. So, thanks for clearing that up, Christian Dawkins. Like, we didn't know that your dad works at Cleveland State, and that's why why Cleveland State's name keeps showing up everywhere. Really could have been less harsh about it. So, congratulations, Cleveland State. You're now a national joke again. Well, hopefully this will replace the decades-worn joke told by Jerry Tarkanian and repeated nonstop on Twitter every time I turn around, every time there's a damn scandal. And of course, the joke is the NCAA was mad at Kentucky. It was so mad at Kentucky, they gave Cleveland State 2 more years of probation. He said that 30 years ago. Great. So I guess the question that I guess I should be mad about in fact, I am kind of mad about that shit. I mean, seriously. I mean, come on, man. Your dad's sitting in the damn courtroom and you gotta be like, you gotta snap back like that. You're a dick. Thanks. I hope they send you to jail just for that. Well, they probably, slandering a team that's lost 20 games in a row, 4 years in a row, isn't exactly is not a prosecutable offense. So he definitely will not be going to jail for that. But it kind of does. I mean, I don't know why this annoys the crap out of me so much, and maybe it's because of the fact that it's Cleveland State, and you hear and I've heard so many I'm surprised that none of the Cleveland State people, none of the Cleveland State fans clap back with, "But they're young." Oh, yeah, they could have did that. It would have sounded even worse than what Christian Dawkins said, but he certainly could have did that. Which leads me, I guess, to the question is, where's Cleveland State? I mean, seriously. You'd like to think they're good, and they're, again, as far as a Horizon League team, they're not far off. I mean, you want to think that they're going to be competitive, but the problem is you don't really know. And you kind of wonder, is Christian Dawkins right? I mean, he's not entirely, all digs aside, he's not entirely wrong. I mean, name the last NBA player that came out of Cleveland State. It was Norris Cole. It was Norris Cole 8 years ago. I mean, technically, you could count Bryn Forbes, even though he bailed and went to Michigan State. You could count him. I mean, I would like to count him, especially since he's still in the playoffs right now. But you can't really count anybody else. And Yeah, no, it kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. And there's so many, and it's like there's so many excuses, but I mean, maybe not excuses. Maybe maybe Cleveland State is legitimately never getting off of the schneid, and they'll be stuck with they'll be stuck in mediocrity, and they'll be stuck in this, big gigantic arena they have no hope of ever filling forever. I want to say that that's not going to be the case. I'd like to hope that that's not going to be the case. I mean, this will probably be, and honestly, this will probably be a question I pose to Scott Garrett, the new Cleveland State athletic director, when I do eventually get him, when we do eventually get him on the podcast. But what is it, and what does it speak to, the Horizon League as a whole? I mean, it really doesn't speak to the Horizon League as a whole anyway. I'm just pissed off that Christian Dawkins, diss my alma mater. Not to say that he's entirely wrong, but come on, you're not allowed to make fun of my school. Only I'm allowed to make fun of my school. And I, of course, we as Cleveland State fans, probably the 3 or 4 or half dozen that are left. I don't know. I've lost count. I'm sure most of you basically, judging from the lack of activity over the last couple of weeks, I think everybody's kind of started hibernating. So, well, I already did. I mean, geez, you're probably not going to hear from me for a month. So mostly because of the fact that I've decided to take a break from Twitter for my so. But I'm sure there's some other people who will be talking about this eventually, and I'm sure spending 10 minutes talking about Cleveland State was something you guys really, really wanted to do today. But I mean, again, it was in the news. It was something I absolutely needed to talk to, and honestly, it's something I needed to get off my chest. To tell you the truth, because this has been bugging me for about a week. And and again, it's an issue of association. You don't want to be, if you're making national news for the reasons that Cleveland State is making the national news, which is like they're not competitive. Basically, one of these things is not like the other. Yeah, you don't want to be in that position, like ever. And how many times have we been in? How many times, Cleveland State fans, have we been in that position? Over the last God knows how many years, with the Kevin Mackey getting busted in front of a crack house, with CC Sabathia getting robbed by 2 ex-Cleveland State players. I mean, those were 20, 30 years ago, but they still kind of sting. So it's a whole bit for as far as from a prosecutorial standpoint, from a sanctioning standpoint, the Cleveland, this is a non-scandal period. It just kind of stings that we get bagged on. So that's that with that, and again, I'm hoping and praying that these last 4 years at Cleveland State have been a complete aberration, and the ship will be righted finally. I know there are some within the dwindling fan base who are totally saying, yeah, that's going to happen. But I also look at the top half of the Horizon League and say, I don't know. I mean, legitimately don't know. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this show up. Again, I have to grievously and profusely apologize to Jimmy for destroying what I thought was a good conversation. This kind of came up. A lot of these subjects kind of came up, and I hopefully, it looks like I finally have, whatever laptop I was using to record this, I'm probably going to end up burning. So you'll probably be. So if you're in Northeast Ohio, you'll probably see. I don't know. You probably won't see anything because I was going to make a fire joke and it wasn't going to work out so well. So as always, you can find episodes of the Horizon Roundtable on our new home at horizonroundtable.com. You can find our podcast wherever podcasts are available. For those of you who have iHeartRadio, I know there's an issue with the episodes. I know we're still kind of working on that, so we appreciate your patience. If you listen on Anchor.fm, remember that you can leave a message. You actually can leave a recorded message and let us know what give us your thoughts. And hey, you never know, give us your ideas. We really want to know what's going on. This is going to be we're going to have an exciting summer, but we want your input. We really want to see, who you want to talk. We want to get some ideas for the show over the summer. I mean, we've got some ideas of our own, but you've got some yourself. Please let us know. We are all ears. So, so email us at horizonroundtable@gmail.com, DM us at horizonrt on Twitter, do whatever. So we are definitely going to be, I definitely want to hear from you guys. We definitely want to hear from you guys. So, so that's going to wrap it up for us. And thank you for listening.